Hello everybody, my name is Sebastian Zwickl Bernhard from Technical University of Vienna, and in this video I present my contribution to the Applied Energy Symposium MITAB. The title of my contribution is Green Hydrogen from Hydropower, a non-cooperative open source modeling approach assessing the profitability gap and future business cases. This slide serves as an introduction and provides relevant aspects in the context of hydrogen. It is undisputable that hydrogen can play a pivotal role in the sustainable energy system transformation. It offers the opportunity to decarbonize the provision of energy services and sectors on the one hand, and adds integrated flexibility options which can be used cross-sectoral on the other hand. Hydrogen deployment is also essential in most of the decarbonization pathways and sustainable economy society storylines. However, at least three crucial questions remain. How is hydrogen produced in practice, especially focusing on primary fuels used? How does the corresponding profitability look like? How many various business cases succeed, taking into account the individual objectives of the agents involved? Derived from these questions, the core objective and main research question of this work can be summarized as follows. The core objective is to investigate a possible future business case for green hydrogen production from hydropower. In particular, the main research question is to find the trade-offs for a run-of-river hydropower plant owner between trading of electricity and, alternatively, production of green hydrogen. The optimal exploitation and allocation of hydropower resources play a key role in the analysis. Equally important is the impact of different CO2 prices on the profitability of electricity trading and green hydrogen production. The methodology applied bases on the development of a non-cooperative optimization model and a Stackelberg game. Thereby, the bi-level optimization framework is implemented with a single leader, who is the hydrogen producer, and follower, the hydrogen consumer. Both agents are profit-oriented. Their objectives are maximizing revenues and minimizing total costs. The hydrogen producer is the price setter, and the hydrogen consumer is the price taker in this game. Without going into details, this slide shows the most important equations of the mathematical formulation of the hydrogen consumer. Equation 1 is the objective function. The agent minimizes its costs. Thereby, the three components of the cost function cover the costs for conventional fossil fuels, hydrogen, and the penalty costs for CO2 emissions. The decision variable vector contains three variables, namely the quantity of conventional fuels, hydrogen, and CO2 emissions. For example, constraint 4 ensures that the energy demand of the agent is covered. This slide shows the essential equations of the hydrogen producer. This agent aims to maximize its revenues by selling electricity at the day-ahead spot market, or its electricity future, and hydrogen. The decision variable vector, equation 2, contains four variables, namely the quantity of spot market generation, future electricity generation, curtailment, or hydrogen production. Equation 4 shows the resource allocation for the hydrogen producer. Equation 5 shows the resource allocation between future electricity and hydrogen production, taking into account a constant generation band. In this work, we carried out an Austrian case study whereby a transportation firm serves as the follower. For the current market environment, this slide shows the resource allocation for the hydropower plant. The constant generation band is used for selling future electricity contracts. This is marked in orange in the figure at the top. The remaining generation of the hydropower plant is used for the production of electricity and selling it at the day-ahead spot market, indicated in green. The transportation firm covers its energy demand by conventional fuels. This is shown in the figure at the bottom in gray. We assumed in this work a constant demand of the transportation firm. This slide shows the profitability gap for the hydrogen production, taking into account the current market environment in the Austrian case study. The gap between the gray dashed line and the green and orange line shows the opportunity cost for the hydropower plant. The opportunity cost replacing future electricity generation by green hydrogen production is almost 80 euro per megawatt hour. The opportunity costs for replacing the spot market electricity generation varies with the spot market price. Hydrogen production would be more profitable only in the hours 37 to 40 as a result of a very low spot market price in these hours. However, as indicated before, the model only allows a constant hydrogen production to ensure high full load hours achieved for the hydrogen production infrastructure. Thus, the hydropower plant produces electricity selling at the day-ahead spot market also in the hours 37 to 40. This slide shows the strategic behavior of the hydrogen producer for different CO2 prices. Depending on the shadow price lambda and the opportunity cost, the hydropower plant sets the price for hydrogen. An increasing CO2 price reduces the gap between the shadow price of the transportation firm and the opportunity costs of the hydropower plant. The crossing point is achieved at a CO2 price of 245 euro per ton CO2. At this price, the hydropower plant acts strategically and sets the price for hydrogen in order to maximize its revenues. Thus, at this point, hydrogen production replaces electricity generation for future contracts. Note that the crossing point depends on the increase of future electricity price as a result of the increasing CO2 price. This is indicated by the two green dashed lines. The crossing point of 245 euro per ton CO2 considers a constant future electricity price. With a further increase of the CO2 price above 245 euro per ton, the hydropower plant also sets a higher price for hydrogen, indicated by the solid blue line. As described, the CO2 price is the key determining parameter for the production of hydrogen. This slide shows a sensitivity analysis for two dimensions: the increase of the future electricity price as a result of an increase of the CO2 price on the x-axis and the efficiency of the hydrogen production on the y-axis. Of course, a higher efficiency triggers hydrogen production at a lower price. See, for example, the top left corner. However, higher electricity future contract prices shift the crossing point and thus profitable hydrogen production to higher CO2 prices. See the top right corner. For efficiency of 0.7, the CO2 price triggering hydrogen production varies between 160 and 200 euro per ton. For efficiency of 0.5, the CO2 price varies between 240 and 300 euro per ton CO2. So far, we presented the trade-offs between selling future electricity contracts and hydrogen production. This included the constraint of a constant generation of hydrogen in case of profitability. Now we consider a more flexible generation of hydrogen by replacing both future electricity and day-ahead electricity production. This figures presents the full load hours of the hydrogen production for different CO2 prices on the x-axis and different spot market prices. We see more than 2,000 full load hours for the current spot market price in case of a CO2 price around 200 euro per ton, marked by the green line. However, an increase of the spot market price lowers the number of hours where hydrogen is produced. The higher the spot market price increase, the lower the full load hours of the hydrogen production infrastructure. The conclusions of this work can be summarized as follows. The current market environment and price setup of the proposed case study do not allow for a profitable green hydrogen production as yet. An increasing CO2 price as the key determining parameter leads to improved competitiveness along with the emerging market penetration of hydrogen. In the numerical example examined, a CO2 price above 245 euro per ton triggers a profitable business case in Austria. Hydrogen deployment may also significantly depend on the price development on the wholesale electricity markets, with underlying driving factors in both directions, supporting and limiting green hydrogen deployment. Future work may address, among others, the investigation of the impact on green hydrogen production from hydropower in the predominantly renewable energy-based power plant portfolio. This work was developed as part of the European Union's Horizon 2020 project Open Entrance. Further information can be found at the link on the slide. We thank you for the attention.